Hi guys, very welcome to my first tutorial of my Maya Connects tutorial series. In this tutorial we'll talk about scattering object over the surface and we'll take in consideration also the interpenetration. We will use n particles to do this, and let's get started. As you see here, I have a terrain already exported from Houdini and imported in Maya. Then I have already prepared the standins for the scattering over the surface. If you are not familiar with standins, just ask me and I will do a separate tutorial in this topic. Those are the steps that we will go through together. Let's begin with first one, paint emission area with Maya 3D Paint tool. Okay, for that I will create the new material. I will take the Lombard. You see we have here a vertex color from Houdini. I just turn off the display color, and first thing to do is to go to the rendering tab, and under texturing we have this 3D paint tool. First select the object, texturing 3D paint tool option box, and you see we have something here, the brush icon. If you press B, you can adjust your brush size, but you see we have we're not allowed now to paint. First thing to do is just assign a texture. Just press this button, and I like to have it 2K by 2K. EFF is fine. Assign edit texture, and now you see we are allowed to paint. First thing to do is the float with black color. You see here we have a color of float. I just set it to black and press this float paint color, and now I will set the color to white and just paint some areas where I would like to have a trees, maybe here, somewhere here. Okay, as you see here, if we open the hypershade, I just clean everything, we have the Lombard. Okay. We have Lombard 2 here. If I just graph the network, you will see the Maya after the painting create this file that's representing our painted areas. Okay. Now let's go to the step 2. Step 2 is create n particles, emit from object. Just select your terrain, switch to FX tab or FX menu, go to n particles, and we'll take this emit from object, not this one because those are the legacy particles option box. I changed the name to 3 emitter, and changed emitter type to a surface, and just let the rest as with default values. Just press create, and as you see now, if we play in a timeline, maybe first just check your playback speed. That is will be a play every frame maximal real time, and every time you do changes on a particles, please rewind and play again, otherwise you will not get these changes on a particles. Now let's play, and you see everywhere we have particles. Now we have to say our emitter, just take these areas that we already painted and emit from white areas our particles. Select the emitter. The emitter is parented under the terrain. And as you see here, if you go to attribute editor, here we have texture rate and enable texture rate. Just activate this one, and now we need a texture. And as we already know, if you open the hypershade, and I just clean my working area and just a graph network, you see here we have this file. Just take it with middle mouse button and just bring it to the texture area here. And now rewind and play, and you see we have only the particles on our painted areas. This is very hard to see now. I will activate the collision on the particles, because this collision will help us with interpenetration. We go to outliner, just select end particles, go to collision tab, activate save collision, and also here solver display, save collision thickness, and we have to increase the size of the particles. Now if they are very small, it depends on your scene size. For me, 20 is a good value. Now if you just play, you see the particle appearing here, but they are just falling down. First we created the particles. 3 nodes are created: emitter, particle, and nucleus. And nucleus is a solver, and this nucleus has gravity and air density. The both, just set both to 0. And now if you play, as you see, the particles just staying there and pushing each other and not penetrating. Because the difference between legacy particles and end particles is that end particles have a collision. Okay, now let's go to step 3. This is only for legacy particles, because I didn't find this. Maybe you can help me if you know where the maximal amount, how to set the maximal amount of particles. Okay, let's go to step 4, create instancer. We go to end particles and here to instancer, option box. We'll give a name here, tree underscore, or instancer, maybe instancer underscore tree. And now we have to select our instance geometry. In my case, I have standins. If you, as I already mentioned, you can use any kind of geometry for the instancing here. In my case, I use the standins here, and we just select the standins and just press add to selection. You have to be very careful. This, if you have more than one particle system, you have to just choose the right one here and just press create. You see now if you press play, you see here the particles. We just get rid of this collision. And now you see if we play, you see here we have some little things here and there. Because my stand-ins are very small, no, I've already scaled them to 4. And we have to rewind plane it again. Sometimes this instance, the instance objects are not shown in a viewport, but let's just render. You see I already created a skydome light, and now we just can just press render. It's kind of interesting. Let me check what's going on and I'll come back in a second. Hi guys, I'm back again. It was an issue with, I have a couple instances here. I will do it again now to show you, because maybe I didn't delete my last one. Anyway, I just delete my instance here, and we just go to End Particles, Instancer option box. We just grab these guys, or you can first select them and then run the option box, and all the objects will appear here automatically. Add selection, create, and you see now we have these trees here. As you see here, only the first tree will be instance here, because by default the instances just take the first one with the index 0. And now what we would like to do is to create expression to randomize this value. Now let's do it. Select particles, go to attribute editor, open per particle array attributes. There are already created attributes here. Add dynamic attribute. The first one will be custom ID. Just custom ID. You can rename it to whatever you want. The only important thing is you have to activate this per particle array attribute and press add. The second one will be custom scale. And also, because we would like to scale object uniformly, add. And the last one will be custom rotation. In this case, we need the free values for rotation, and therefore we're activating now the vector add. As you see now, we have this all attributes created, and now let's randomize the IDs of this instance object. Okay, just right mouse button click on a creation expression, and we just grab this name with the middle mouse button and just take it here, and we write equal random, and we just put the values from 0 to 4. Let's do 4.9 because the last one is very hard to to get with the random expression. We press create, we have no arrow. And now just take your instance node, or sorry, and particle. You have instance node here. Just let me see, shading instancer. And now we have to say, okay, allow all data, because we're using now the custom attributes. And here an object ID, we just take our created custom ID. As you see, we have to rewind and play. And as you see now, we have different trees. Scattered over the terrain. If you want to visualize this attribute to be sure that everything is right, we can go up to the shading section and just say we like to see numeric values. By default, we have particle IDs shown here as an integer here, but we'd like to see custom ID. And now you see we have our custom IDs. We have here 2, 4, 1. I can hide the terrain. And you will see we have, here's 1, here's 1, 1. 4, 2, 2, 1. Every time you play it again, you will get the random values. Also, you can randomize the seed here. And you see we have 2 here, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, now let's randomize the size of this trees. This is the same thing that we have to do. We just create another expression. Just go here or here, customer scale. Middle mouse button, just take it here. And we have to say, I just copy and paste this one here. And I will go from maybe 2.5 to 4.9, edit. You see this arrow is coming here with a cycle. You can ignore it because it's a bug in Maya. Just press it again, you see we have no arrow. And now we have to say our instances to use this scale value. You see here we have scale set to none. And we just grab our custom scale attribute. And as you see here, if you rewind and play, now we have different sizes for trees. This is also a viewport issue that Maya doesn't show every instance, but if you render it with a renderer, you see you will get all of them here. Okay, now let's randomize our rotation. Let's create another expression. Just go here and customize rotation, creation. And now we just take this guy and first I will create a variable type vector, $, rotation. You can name wherever you want, and now I would say this is the syntax for mail vector definition, and we say a random value between -5 and 5 for the x value. Then for the epsilon value, we can write -360 to 360, and for z value we write rand -5 also and 5. You can adjust these values after the creation also. And now we just copy this and we'll say, okay, this is equal to this variable, semicolon, and edit. You see we have some kind of error here. I just look what's going on here. Okay. You see I have a typo here, not rand. This is rand. Edit, and we have it. Okay, now we have to say to the instancer that we like to rotate our objects to. And you see we have a rotation here, and we have to just grab our custom rotation here. And now if you rewind and play, you see we have also the different rotation. If you like to see also the rotation value, you can visualize. If we change this to custom rot, you will get now, I just hide my light here, and you see you have here the 3 values for x, epsilon and z for every object here. And now we can rewind and play. And now only thing that we have to do now is just the cache, because we will use these particles only for 1 frame. And now let's go to the step 7 and cache particles. Okay, now we select our particles. We go to ncache, create new cache, and object option box. And now we'll choose 1 file. And now you have to grab a frame you would like to cache. In our case is 228. Just bring here 228 and also 228 here, because we need only 1 frame. You can leave it by default, because if you set your project, it will go to the cache directory of your project here. And we press here, just apply. Something funny was here, as a create new cache and cache. Yeah, sorry, it's create, not apply. We're creating a cache, and you see now we have a cache here. If you play now, nothing is changed, because we have to change our setting from our cache here. The first thing to do is to change the here original start to 1, and would like to, we have maybe 500 frames or something, And now don't forget to change it to 1, 2. Okay, now as you see, we have our trees. Source start. I think I wrote down this frame, hold source starter. Sorry. The original start is 2 to 8, and here also 2 to 8, and here the source start is from 1 till 500. Okay, that's a little bit confusing, but and you see now we have our trees. Now you can render it in Arnold, and you can, if you don't like your setup here, you can just select and delete this cache and change your settings and cache it again. Okay, that's it for this tutorial. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this tutorial, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.